Good morning, traders. It is Wednesday, June 28th. We're about an hour and 20 minutes into trading. Let's take a look at our last pick. Let's do some market analysis, and then let's use Option Stalker Pro to find our next great trade. That's the format for all these videos because I want to show you how effective this systematic trading approach is. The best way for me to do that is to review each one of these picks. That's how you gain your confidence in this system. KMX. I did the video Sunday. The market was closed, so we came in Monday morning, and what happened? This is the price action from Friday. Loved this breakout. The stock pulled back Monday morning. I had mentioned to you that some of these gains are likely to vaporize, and we need to be very patient with this pick. Let some of this gap fill in. I wanted to see that support hold Monday morning. First 15-minute bar, it failed. That tells you, okay, we need to be patient with this one. But the actual instructions that I gave you in that video, please go back and watch that video. Confirm what I'm about to tell you. The instructions in that video were to set an alert using a 15-minute time frame so that when the stock went weak relative to the market, and then when it regained its relative strength, that was our entry point because we are not chasing stocks. 2 steps forward, 1 step backwards. So if you always feel like you're buying the top, you get in the trade, and then the bottom falls out, and you're thinking, gosh, I should probably be stopping out here. This is a method that's going to help you avoid that. So here's the stock Monday. Stock pulls back and pulls back, orange line below zero. This is our relative strength indicator. And you can see how the stock never really regains its relative strength until right about in here. This would be your entry point for the stock. Look at it now. That was roughly about $81. Let's say $81.50. Stock is currently up to $85. That is a nice $4 winner, just like that. And we set these alerts to get into the trade. This is all in the previous video. It's so easy. Right click, create alert, use the drop down, strength versus SPY, 15-minute time frame. Condition is already true. So I'm going to add that, and then this little checkbox means that I'm waiting for the condition to go false, and then I'm waiting for the condition to go true. When I save it, I'm going to get a pop-up alert to tell me, hey Pete, remember that stock you were looking at? That really, really strong one? The one that you were hoping to buy a dip on? Well, here it is, right in here. And that provides me with an excellent entry point. So we're going to be taking a look at the market. Let me start off by showing you my pre-open market comments this morning. Look for an early bounce today. If you sign up to my Twitter feed, you'll see a link for it in the description of this video. You can go back and read my comments from yesterday. One of my comments was, folks, this window dressing that we're getting right now into the end of Q2, we're going to see some rebalancing. We're going to see some selling pressure in equities, but that should run its course and we should get a bullish trend day in here. Well, that's exactly what we got yesterday. Today, I said, listen, we already saw that buyers were in there buying like crazy yesterday. In force, heavy volume, nice steady rally. That is what buyers have been waiting for, that sign of support. So when we got a gap down this morning, I knew that once support was established, buyers were going to come in, fill in this gap, and test the upside. There were 2 scenarios that could have played out. We got lucky because we weren't forced to take action very, very quickly. I thought one possibility today could have been green candle, green candle, green candle, green candle, fill. Almost instantly. So the fact that the market stayed down and there was some central bank speak, the ECB and Powell and the Bank of Japan all were at a conference and all of them are relatively hawkish. That gave us some early selling pressure. Horizontal support, tails under body. We've got a bearish 1OP cycle that did not produce. So we got this bearish cycle and the market is compressing. Now we can feel pretty confident after this long green candle here that yes, some of this gap is going to be filled. So right now, I like what I see. I believe that the high from yesterday is going to be challenged. Buyers are still in there. It's a very choppy grind higher. You can see that we've got decent volume. That's also something that I pointed out in our chat room this morning was we should get some pretty good movement here. Now, I'm not expecting that the rest of the week. Thursday and Friday are going to be relatively slow because we have a big holiday coming up. And the issue with the way that the holiday falls this year is that 4th of July is on Tuesday. Well, a lot of people are going to be leaving early on Friday to make the most out of the weekend, and most of them are going to be taking Monday off. So that means Monday is going to be a very quiet day. Tuesday is the holiday. So we come back on Wednesday. We've got a pretty heavy dose of economic releases next week. We've got the ISM manufacturing, and we have the jobs report coming out on Friday, ADP. So should be pretty active week once we get back. So that's how everything sets up right now. We have to expect fairly dull trading the next couple of days. So take a look at the market on a D1 basis. And here you can see that we had this nice blow off rally here. This was triple witching. This was post FOMC. And then Friday, we gave back a fair amount of those gains, much of which were produced by buy programs and triple witching. So we get this rebalancing, we get this little pullback in here. This is a wimpy decline. How do we know? Well, you can see tiny bodied candles, mixed, lots of overlap, and light volume. That's how we knew that this was just a normal pullback within a bullish uptrend. So I'm expecting that there's going to be a bit of an upward bias today, tomorrow, and even Friday. Buyers have been anxious. They finally got this dip, so I'm expecting just a gradual little drift higher. Nothing big. And then we kind of start to compress the intraday ranges. So we're going to be focusing on the bullish side of the equation, and we're going to be using some of our searches to find these stocks. I could go through almost any one of these searches and just start knocking through some of these search results. I do want to show you something that's interesting. This is called anchored v-wap. You know how v-wap works on a intraday basis. And so I'm going to put it up to a 5-minute chart. It gives us another level of clarity. We can kind of see where the average weighted price is. And I'm going to put up v-wap. And the thing about v-wap is that it is anchored to today's price. And you can see how the price moved above and below the v-wap, and then finally it started to get some escape velocity and it got up to that first standard deviation. So I'm going to remove this, but I'm going to show you how v-wap can actually be relevant on a longer term basis. Brian Shannon from Alpha Trends has done a lot of research on this. He recently wrote a book on it. I've had interest in it for about 8 or 9 months since I first started to read some of his studies. And so his premise is that institutions act at certain times. And so if we take a look at a D1 chart, first I'm going to remove the v-wap, and I'm going to go into a daily chart, and then I'm going to use the AVWAP-Q. These are all studies that we have available. So this is AVWAP, and I'm going to go down to the quarterly. Now, each end of quarter, institutions are starting to act. They're taking action after that triple witching. this is when they're going to start rebalancing, because the end of the quarter, as far as when they produce all their financial statements, is going to be coming up very quickly for them. So they're already going to be rebalancing. And right now we've had a big run up in the market. Bonds, on the other hand, have gone down. These funds have fixed percentages that they have to have in terms of exposure to the stock market and to the bond market. Well, when stocks have run up, they have to sell some of those stock holdings and they have to move that money into bonds. That's how it works. And so you can see this is the beginning of the quarter, triple witching. You can see how, excuse me, how the market started to sell off, and it was below the v-wap that started at the beginning of the quarter. But look what happened yesterday. You can see how we closed above that v-wap. And so the reason that this is relevant is because institutions at the end of the quarter are allocating money to the market. So they're making a decision. Hey, not all funds, by the way, have to have balanced percentages. Many of them do, many of them don't. So if you're a fund manager and you're thinking, I really like the way that Q2 finished, and I'd like to start adding more money to my equity side of the portfolio, they will hand an order like that off to a very large executing broker like Citadel. And they will say, listen, we want to start allocating money to the market. We want you to do that for us. We want you to honor a v-wap. Well, that v-wap has to be anchored to a particular starting point. So Monday after triple witching, or the first trading day after triple witching, would be a logical time for them to make that type of decision. If it's a particularly large order, they may be telling a company like Citadel, hey, we'll give you a week or we'll give you 2 weeks to allocate X amount of dollars. And Citadel will honor that v-wap price. So the anchor, instead of being the start of the trading day, like we use for intraday analysis on a 5-minute chart, is actually at the beginning of the quarter. I like to use the first trading day after triple witching because I don't believe that these funds are waiting till the very last minute to make this allocation. Plus, there's T+3 settlement. So anything that they would do today, Wednesday, is not even going to show up on their quarterly statement. So they're already acting ahead of time on this. And you can see how now we've poked above the v-wap Q that starts at the beginning of the quarter. And here you can see this is where the v-wap was for March. This was the end of the quarter, triple witching right in here. And so we kind of waffle around it a little bit. And then after about a week, this is when the funds are making their decisions, we start to get some escape velocity here. We rally above it, and look at how we found support right on that v-wap Q. So I think this is a study that you'll want to incorporate. We've included it in Option Stalker Pro. Really, really nice feature. We also have it available for stocks. Stocks are a little bit different. When are you going to make a decision as a fund manager on when to buy a stock? Well, you're going to do it after the company releases earnings, right? So let's take a look at, NVIDIA has been super hot. So let's just take a look at NVIDIA, and then I'm going to show you how to overlay that. We go into OneOption Studies, a v-wap earnings. And you can see there's the big run up in NVIDIA, and then we kind of waffle around that v-wap line. Now, I have added a 1 standard deviation for members, but I'm also experimenting with some of the larger standard deviations, a 2 standard deviation and 3 standard deviation move. Trying to get a feel for it, and I'll be developing some searches and some systems around that, but I want to see what relevance those levels have. And here you can see another earnings. We kind of waffle around that v-wap. You can see how sticky the price action is, and then Once it gets above that 1 standard deviation, that becomes support. You can see right in there. The more you use an indicator, the more confidence you have in it and the more relevance it has, because you can start to see where those lines actually represent support and resistance. And I like this study, as Brian Shannon explains. Moving averages are psychological. There's really not a lot of meaning behind them. The only real relevance is that a lot of traders use those moving averages. And so it has a psychological impact on price. We expect to see support and resistance there. I view these v-wap lines, these anchored v-waps, differently because they're not just psychological. I feel that these are points where institutions are actually acting on that particular price level. So let's take a look at some stocks and see what we can find. I'm going to remove this from the chart. We can make it a little bit less obscured. And so we're going to take that off, and we'll go in and we'll do the same thing for the earnings v-wap. Now let's go in and take a look at some charts. And I'm just going to go in. Green Royal Flush is one of my favorite swing trading searches. And since I only do a couple of videos a week, this is a good starting point for me, because I know if the stock is showing up on this search, it has a buy signal across all time frames. So it's clicking on all cylinders. So I'm just going to click through a few of these charts and let's see what we come up with. Netflix is at the top. Really nice bullish flag formation right here. You can see there's your downward sloping trend line. We're getting through the upper part of it and likely to challenge that high. A little bit of relative weakness to work off right in here, but this looks like a nice bullish flag formation. And we could take a look at snow, see what that's doing. A little bit too choppy for me. You can see up and down, no real pace to it. Not going to be one of my favorite types of charts. Coin, also very choppy. You can see how it's worked through the major moving averages. I do like this volume and I do like this relative strength. So let's add some of our automated trend lines and see where they come into play. Actually, quite a few of them breach to the upside, which is encouraging. You can see there's a high plus breach to the upside. That's nice. We've got a nice high minus here. We have a high minus coming in here. Let's see how far back that goes. Ooh, that is a very long-term trend line. That is relevant. I like that. So now, all of a sudden, we've got a lot more clarity. We've got relative strength on a D1 basis. We have heavy volume. We're above the major moving averages. Where have I heard this before? Oh, I know. CarMax, the stock I just showed you, the stock in the last video. So let's put up CarMax and we can compare the two. Zoom out a little bit further to catch those trend lines. Look at that trend line. Nice trend line breach. That's how we do it, folks. That's why you see these stocks video after video performing. So yes, I like coin. And I don't think I need to go any further. Really nice feature that we just added. You can right click on these column headers and you can add a number of variables. You just go into edit columns. These are all the variables you can pick from. What I'm looking for is I want heavy volume on a 5-minute and a 15-minute and a daily basis. So I want to see these 3 blue dots. Coin has them. Then I want to see buy signals, 5-minute, 15-minute, daily. I also want to see relative strength across all time frames. 3 blue dots, green dots across the board. Do you see how easy it is to spot these stocks? Now, our searches are super, super powerful. They've already got a lot of different variables built into them. So when a stock comes up on a search, you know it's going to be a good one. But this adds another level of clarity because as we review our searches, boom, there's one, Uber. There's one, little weakness on a 5-minute basis. CCL, beautiful across the board. ENVX, beautiful across the board. Look at how easy this is. Let's click on a couple of them. What the heck? We got time, right? Let's click on a couple of these and see what else we got. Members have been just killing it with this. So now we've got another stock that's breaking out. This is letter U, really nice breakout on a daily basis here. So bring up the 5-minute chart, take a look at it. Ooh, sweet. Oh, strong versus SPY. Schwab was another one that I saw this morning. I like this stock. So you can see, let's go into a zoom in view here. You can see double top, lower high. Not crazy about that. We do also have a higher low. This is a wedge formation that's coming into play right here. But I do like the D1 chart. So here's what I'm going to do with this one. You can see I got the alert because when I set it, it was strong versus the S&P 500 early this morning. I wanted to see a dip. And then I wanted it to regain its relative strength. And that's why I got the alert. So I'm not gaga crazy over this because of this lower high. So how can I address that? I click GTC. I click on the top of that bar, click on the top of this bar right here. And now I have a downward sloping trend line. If it's breached to the upside, I'm going to get another alert. Why did I like it so much in the chat room this morning? I like this breakout right here, but it has to stay above that downward sloping trend line. If it can do that, I like it. I think it's got a pretty clean path to the 100-day moving average, and it has a nice upward sloping trend line. D1 relative strength, got some volume coming in, but it is a choppy stock. You can see it doesn't go anywhere fast, so you want to be buying dips on a stock like that. So now that that alert has been addressed, let's take a look at you. Kind of a choppy stock in here, but I'll show you how easy it is for us to set an alert. We'll just right click, create alert, use M5 because I would be day trading a choppy stock like that. And I'm going to add that, but because it's already got relative strength, I want the orange line to drop below 0. Then I want it to poke back above 0. Then I will get my alert. Click Save. It doesn't cost me a penny to do this. I'm not tying up any capital. I'm not emotionally attached to the stock. All I'm doing is I'm being alerted when the stock has dipped. So there was a question that came up in the last video. Very, very good question. Really appreciated it. How do you know when this is a good dip to buy? Not all dips are good to buy, right? Well, what I'd want to see on a strong stock that's been doing this so far today on heavy volume is I don't want to see ka-chunk, 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 long red candles stacked with a new low. What I want to see is I want to see it stay close to the high of the day, relatively close to the high of the day. I'd like to see that v-wap preserved. I don't want it to fall too far because if it falls really far, that tells me that the buyers really don't have that much conviction. But if the stock barely pulls back to the VWAP and then it takes off and I get that alert, well, then I know buyers are in there. Even if the market's pulled back a little bit during the course of the day, bye bye bye, bye bye bye, bye bye bye. So I know that when I get that alert, little relative weakness, relative strength, stock stayed tight to the high of the day, this is going to be a good candidate, especially if the volume is strong. So let's go through and take a look at a couple of other stocks that are on the list. ENVX, I saw that one early. I like that. I set an alert on it, but I set it in here. If I'd have seen it early in the day, it was fairly weak. So this is where I set the alert. So maybe it'll flash in here as the stock starts to come in. But yeah, I'd want to see that VWAP preserved. So orange line below zero, orange line above zero, v-wap preserved, stock above the prior day's high, good volume. That is going to be an excellent entry point. And yesterday, the stock was very strong. So you can see there's a little bit of a dip. There's your dip right in there. You can see when OSI goes below zero. This is your entry point in here. What a nice entry point. Let's take a look at what else we've got. Hood. Uh, Hood is pulling back. So now you can see that's a bigger pullback than I would like to see. It blew through the VWAP. That's not one that I would particularly care for. So I didn't buy it here. What do we got here? DLTR. We'll take a look at that one in a second. But in any event, if you came in early in the day and went, oh, Hood looks so good. Oh, I want to be in. Well, if you're in here, you had to take pretty quick profits on that bearish hammer. But if you set the alert, you could see, you're not getting an alert yet. But when you do, you look at that price action, you reevaluate it, and you go, no thanks. I'm going to go on to the next alert, like DLTR. And when you set a bunch of these alerts, instead of flipping charts, you're actually looking at alerts, you're evaluating the price action, and you're deciding if you want to take a position in the stock. So I like this. This all looked good yesterday on an M5 basis. Stock has been able to pull back a little bit today. It hasn't really shown a lot of relative strength because look, here's what the market's done today. It's had a nice little rally off of the low. Well, the stock hasn't participated too much in that rally, so I'm going to set an alert right here at the top of this candle, and that'll just keep it on my screen. We've got a double bottom higher low. That's good. Let's take a look at that D1 chart. VWAP's getting a little bit in the way here, so I'm just going to take it off real quick so that we can see the chart more clearly. And there you can see it needs to get through that 200-day moving average. It needs to get through that 100-day moving average. It has not done that yet, but I have that alert set. And if it can, it's going to fill in more of this gap. So DLTR looks good. That's why I set the alert. So let's take another look and see what else we've got here. Just looking for all these green dots here to line up. FDX, beautiful breakout through horizontal resistance. Long green candle yesterday, holding up pretty well today. DLTR, I just got another price alert because it had gone through the alert that I had just set. So I'm going to raise this because I know that when it gets through the high from today, it's going to be above that 200-day moving average. So I'm still going to play it safe, and I'm going to set that alert right there. And you can see, here's the other clue. The volume is light. No reason for me to rush into this trade. If it had big, heavy volume, that would tell me that institutions are in there buying it. They're not in there buying it. I don't have to hurry on this one. CCL, let's see what that one's got going. Apple right in here looks pretty dang good too. Apple, beautiful. Look at that relative strength. That is awesome. You can see Apple didn't even dip today, and it is above the prior day's high. Go into the D1 chart. What's Apple doing here? We can see it's up against some of these major trend lines, but trying to break out through this high plus. Let's go see where that started from. Okay, these are some pretty long-term trend lines. That is a very valid trend line right there. That's a valid trend line here as well. Apple looks good, so what do? You don't chase it. You don't have to. Not on a day like this when we're expecting relatively light volume. Let's make sure that we get that strong versus SPY, and it has to go false and then true. And now I don't have to worry about Apple. If I get my alert, I'm going to have a nice entry point. Apple tends to be very choppy, and it does go through periods of relative strength and weakness. So you can see, just like yesterday, relatively weak. Okay, regains its relative strength in here. Nice entry point. That's how we're going to be looking at that. So you go through the search results, you can go through all of them. When you find those really good stocks, that's when you set your alert. So coin, I like it. We're going to set an alert. We're going to see if we can get long this stock at a better price. I like those multiple breakouts. And looky here, we got the stock pulling back. One OSI is below zero. We could very easily get an M5 alert in here. And one more look at that daily chart and the reasons why we like this stock. So again, when I get this alert coming up here probably pretty soon, I'm able to evaluate the market. Very choppy, volume starting to drop off a little bit. We are filling the gap. I like it. That's fairly bullish, but I'm not gonzo bullish. Got a nice stock like coin. I want to make sure that it preserves that v-wap. So let's put that baby up here. We could see where that comes into play. We could see, hey, look at how relevant v-wap is. Stock pulled back to it and rested right on it. So now when it comes back above zero right in here, I'm going to get an alert. And instead of chasing up in here and going, oh my gosh, should I be stopping out of the stock right now? It's gone against me. I'm sitting back, waiting for my opportunity to set up, evaluating the market, goes positive, preserves the VWAP, market's still grinding higher. I've got all the check boxes marked for an excellent trade. That's how we do it. I will be posting a video probably Tuesday. Have a great 4th of July. Have a wonderful time celebrating the best country on the planet. Good luck with your trading. Please take the free trial. We've got so many great new features that we've added. The automated trend lines are fantastic. These columns are going to help you find stocks very, very quickly. Our searches are super powerful. These new alerts that we have, they're all going to help you find great trades for trading relative strength and relative weakness. Thank you. We'll see you soon. Thank you for watching this YouTube video. I'm Pete Stolzers and I'm going to keep the trade ideas coming along with lots of education, so make sure to subscribe to the channel and please turn on your notifications so that you never miss another trade. If you like the content, please give it a thumbs up. I've loaded 2 other videos that I think you're really going to enjoy. Stay tuned. We'll see you soon.